Two players from your fantasy draft team are facing off each other for their win in. Players with a total of 18 points will make it in to day 2, which will be taking place on Sunday. And one of those players, a very well-known player in the community, and I'm really excited to see how they perform in this particular matchup, and I'm really excited to see how your team is going to do. Don't know him personally at all, but very well-known in the community. Very well-skilled player, so I've heard. Both players, and I'm excited to get into this final round of day 1 here in Disney Lorcana Challenge Dortmund. You may recognize them. They look a bit familiar.
They do. One of them is my fiance. Sorry, your fiance. But, yeah, like you said, we've seen Bob already, but this is also Kawa Tech, or Kree. And this is interesting because, like you said, both of these are on my draft. So is that good? Is that like it's a win-win for me? Or is it bad because I could have had 2 different games where both of them won?
Well, I think right now it means both of these players are on 5 wins, 2 losses, meaning that they are both on 15 points. So no matter what, you're getting one of these players into day 2 on Sunday. But every point matters. So right now you do have a combined score between the 2 of them of 30, but I'm intrigued who's going to come out on top. We have Kawa on Amber Emerald versus Bob on Ruby Emerald. We've seen a lot of this deck before, and I'm really excited to get to see it because I haven't actually gotten the chance to cast it in the booth with Ed. And Ed, this is our first cast together, and I'm excited, and it looks like we're off to already a kind of a rough start for both players where we just have to ink a card and pass.
You're
looks
right.
A bit better there for Kawa when Bob didn't have a 1-drop glimmer to play either. But we're getting into it.
We're off to the races. We did see that Liquidator iced over, getting inked. We see the We Don't Talk About Bruno to get the Ursula out. Ursula Deceiver is now going to pick one of those songs there. Which would you pick here?
Well, Sudden Chill isn't going to look too good for us next turn when Kawa's probably trying to keep a lot of cards in his hand, ideally, and he's playing the Amber Emerald discard version. No dogs here versus a lot of discard synergy in this Ruby Emerald Leviathan deck, and we do see already that Return of Hercules Leviathan, which more than likely we might get a little snippet of seeing, and it is indeed going to be Sudden Chill. We don't want that being played next turn, but we could definitely see an Ursula Deceiver of Bob's coming out next turn to have a look at Kawa's hand. Both of these decks are going to be playing a lot of similar Emerald glimmers and cards, a lot of discard synergy. True. And there is Chip going into the Inkwell, and an Ursula Deceiver of Bob's own going to be discarding a Sudden Chill off Kawa's hand as well.
And then getting all the information. It's not just about discarding the song card with Ursula Deceiver. It is pure information. Sure, the draw changes things up, but for each player that gets to play that Ursula, you get a vague idea of how the next few turns are going to play out, and therefore what you can do to either mitigate what your opponent is doing, or just learn to play around it, or just have to lean into it. If you've got no way of competing, you can figure out what's going to happen. So we are going to see that Prince John, greediest of all, come down, and a Sudden Chill as well, which is actually a wonderful little bit of synergy there to just get that extra little draw off Prince John. As you guys can see on your screen, I sentence you. Whenever your opponent discards 1 or more cards, you may draw a card for each card discarded. So with Sudden Chill, that is a perfect choice.
Yeah, definitely great play there by Kawa. Even though Bob played an Ursula Deceiver there, got rid of a Sudden Chill, we managed to have another one. I'm pretty sure it was the top deck off the draw this turn, which really nice that we were able to get Prince John out on the board. There's also a Diablo in hand, which we could see next turn, or even
Lenny Toy Binoculars. This is a card I absolutely love. I love his little art. Just look at him. Look at him with his big eyes. Now, for those of you who haven't seen, this is one of the toy cards from set 12. Obviously, Kree there having to read that card. It has 2 abilities. Take a good look. When you play this character, choose an opponent. Your chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards an action card of your choice. And coming up fast, once during your turn, whenever you play an action, you may ready this character. So a very good singer, actually, because you can just keep it ready and just keep it safe for a little bit.
Yeah, great for singing Sudden Chill, Bare Necessities, or anything you need. But we're not going to be singing Bare Necessities because it's Ruby Emerald. But he can sing Strike a Good Match, or even we can just quest. And whenever you play in action, he can just ready and maybe sing again. You can even quest again, whatever you like. But definitely getting rid of the Delamoon's Lullaby out of Kawa's hand. Very nice there for Bob. And going back over to Kawa, there is Muses in hand. We could ink a card, play the Muses, and start a little bit of bouncing when we start to play songs. But it's looking like we might be playing our one-drop Cinderella, a very shiny one, might I add.
And, of course, Diablo Devoted Herald. Boy, have we seen a lot of that card this weekend for the first time in a long time. That card very much a prominent part of the format when it was in rotation. Now that it's gone, we don't see it anymore, but Infinity brings all of these cards back, and that's part of the beauty of it. So obviously being an evasive, a little bit difficult to get rid of, unless Bob has some decent evasives of his own, although I think he's got, am I right to remember he's got Jebediah Farnsworth, because he's evasive? He
is evasive, but another thing he also has, and we need to be really mindful of it, is Return of Hercules and Leviathan. Ooh. If Bob manages to get 2 or more cards into his discard, we will be able to probably banish, well, you know, Ed, we're probably going to, if that comes down, we might be able to just get rid of a few of those glimmers on the other side of the board.
We certainly will. By the looks of it, we'd be able to get rid of all of them in terms of their total. We are going to see a Lenny Toy Binoculars get inked and simply pass back over to Kawa, who's going to ready up those cards and then draw for turn. Now, what are we going to see?
Yeah, no cards in hand bar the one that we just drew off the top of the deck. Now, we can exert Diablo, the quest with Diablo, leave him exerted, and we will be able to draw cards whenever Bob draws cards. But then you're leaving yourself open to, well, perhaps maybe a little evasive rush or something coming in to get rid of it. But then we need to be mindful, because then next turn Bob will be able to ink to that 5 cost in order to play, well, Return of Hercules.
Return of Hercules into the Leviathan, Guardian of Atlantis. This is a combo that we've seen delivered a couple of times throughout the stream today, but we've also seen it get denied. So we're going to see Della's Moon Lullaby there, giving a chosen character -2 strength and drawing a card. Kawa's going to
he looks happy.
Oh, okay. So here.
Oh, you have forgotten me, the perfect card to get. Why did I just add? There was no cards in his hand. We drew that off Delamoon's Lullaby. What a beautiful card to draw. And also because Prince John is out on the board, we discarded 2 cards, meaning that Kawa was going to draw 2 cards, and poor Bob had to discard both the Leviathan and Return of Hercules, which we could have pulled off next turn.
It was the combo piece. That was the perfect move from Kawa to deny a board clearing the huge Leviathan. I just love that. I love seeing it work. But in that instance, you've got to get rid of it. You've got to just dump it. And then Kawa helping replenish his resources with that Prince John. So we are going to see Robin Hood. This is a wonderful little combo with this deck. Robin Hood Sharpshooter. Whenever this character quests, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal an action card with cost 6 or less, and play it for free. The rest into your discard, which obviously works very well, again, with the Leviathan. It also works really well with Olaf's Snowman of Action. And also sometimes works well with the, what is it? It's the Lilo causing an uproar.
Yes.
Will we see that?
Indeed, but not only that, could see a little bit of Maui House Shark as well. Playing an action off this, we're just going to gain more lore. Looking like you have forgotten me going into the discard, and Kawa's scared of it. He's going to be not talking about Bruno right now and sending the Robin Hood Sharpshooter back to Bob's hand. We're going to discard a card at random, but there was only 1 card there, Ed, so it's going to be discarded, meaning Kawa will also get to draw an additional card thanks to Prince John. Greedy prince indeed.
He is indeed a greedy prince. We do see in hand Muses and also Bare Necessities. Oh, taking the gamble of doing a little bit of a quest there. At this point, with only a couple of glimmers on the board for Bob, I think you're just trying to take it. And there we go. Bob is going to scoop. Kawa is going to take game 1 here in our round 8 feature match. The last feature match we're having of the day. A great start for me, and also a bad start for me. One of my draft players is currently 1 game up. The other one 1 game down. What do I do, Kim? How do I deal with this internal conflict?
I think regardless, you kind of win either way, because they are both one is going to come out victorious unless, unfortunately, it ends in a draw, and then in that case, you will actually not be victorious at all. But
what if they draw?
Yeah, if they draw. Well, hopefully that won't happen.
I'm going to go out of words.
Game 2 here, and I am excited because now Bob is going to be on the play. Kawa's going to be on the draw. Kawa was on the play first game. Well, a top deck of Della Moon's Lullaby into a You Have Forgotten Me, discarding the pieces that poor Bob needed. And I haven't seen it in action. I wanted to see the Leviathan combo, the Guardian of Atlantis, the Protector of Atlantis. It's a machine. I wanted to see it happen, and I haven't gotten to see it happen.
This could be it, though. It could be this round, but we'll have to see. Because, again, Kawa might top deck some excellent removal for those cards. Will we get to see that brutal board wiping combo, a gorgeous new card with immense stats? Who knows? We'll all find out together, and that's the excitement of these Disney Lorcana challenges, getting to see all of these moments together, getting to react to it together. Kim, it's going to be great. So we are going to jump into our game 2 when our participants are ready, and that's going to be potentially devastating for my draft picks, but let's see what happens as we see them getting their altars ready. What are they going to do? How much are they going to alter these opening hands?
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. How will these players perform? Now, Bob on the play, Kawa on the draw. Will either player have a one-cost card to play this turn? We've seen first game now, both players didn't have a one-drop, so it kind of benefited both players. Otherwise, if one player did have a one-drop and the other one didn't, well, that player who did would have had a slight little bit of an advantage. But let's get into it. Will we see a Diablo? We can look at the hand into a Diablo shift. Time will tell. I'm excited. Let's get into it. Both players playing very similar Emerald cards. They're doing very similar things. We're kind of discarding. We've seen Sudden Chill, but both of these players playing Ursula Deceiver discarded Sudden Chill off each other, saying, oh, you did this to me, I'm going to do this to you. But then, ultimately, Kawa taking the win in game 1. But now, going into game 2, players are just finishing their altering hand phase. Were they greedy? I believe it looks like Kawa only kept 2 cards. Ooh. As for Bob, I'm not too sure. Did seem like at least a good few. But let's get into it. They're ready to go. Game 2, our last round of today. Both players on 15 points, both needing to get to 18 to make it into day 2, and there he is. Okay, we're seeing Diablo Maleficent Spy, so we just get to get all that information. There's that gorgeous queda, by the way, on that hand there. We do see that we don't talk about Bruno, the Prince John, the bare necessities. We also see an Under the Sea and an Ariel capable of being one of the singers of any of those in a bit. So that is an interesting bit of information for Bob to see how things go from here. And we do then get to see a little bit extra of what Kawa is thinking. Now, we can see in hand, there is also Brawl in hand for Bob. That's going to be a good little bit of spot removal. We might need that. We are going to see queda getting inked. Yeah, unfortunately, no one drop or Diablo Maleficent Spy of Kawa's own, or even a Cinderella Ballroom Sensation coming into play. And there is the shift of the Devoted Herald. We're discarding the bro. We don't need it. We don't need it. He has his Diablo out first, so we're going to discard to shift our Diablo Devoted Herald. And then we're just going to sing Strike a Good Match. Draw 2 cards, choose and discard a card. Nice way of just checking what else you've got. We can also see in hand that Olaf as well, which is definitely one that we've seen in these decks. Get a couple of those out and it's pretty brutal. What it can sing is always an amazing thing to see because it is a 9 cost, but for each action card in your discard, you pay 1 less ink to play that character. And when you play it, each opponent loses 2 lore. If you can get a couple of them out, you're absolutely laughing. But we are going to see it inked at this point. We don't have enough actions in that discard to make it worth keeping that around. So we're going to see Kawa draw on that turn. And we do see in hand still quite a few options, but we're still early in the game. We've got to get something to ink, then we've got to start playing some of those lower cost characters, Kim. Yeah, we do indeed. And this time does Kawa have a 2-cost character to play, and we do, and it is going to be Ursula Deceiver. Oh, I don't believe there's any songs in there. We did use our Strike a Good Match, which could have been targeted, but every little bit of information helps. It does. And that Leviathan, well, it's pretty enchanting, wouldn't you say? It's so enchanting. I actually realised I don't think I've seen the art of that until just that moment, and it's
gorgeous. I must have it.
Yeah, so we got a glimpse at Bob's hand there, and, well, there was a Diablo in hand, and it does seem like we just played another one.
This is definitely going to start making Bob fill up that hand, because at the moment, only a few things that we can play. We do have that 4-cost uninkable Robin Hood Sharpshooter. There's 2 of those, and that does help try and reveal some of the actions that might just help get those played. Reveal an action, cost 6 less or free, play it. That's always useful.
Yeah, also helps get more actions into the discard, helping us get out our snowman.
We've
Olaf,
lost that now.
Snowman of action. No, but Ed, look at his hand. He drew into another.
Oh, he did? Sorry, I was too hypnotized by the enchanted
Leviathan.
Oh,
it's a bit of a machine.
I hope we get to see that one come down. If we get to see the enchanted one come down in that brutal combo, that's going to be incredible.
It would be a magical thing indeed. But trying now to decide, looking like we're going to ink bare necessities, and we have a spectacular singer Ariel to play. We're going to be able to look at the top 4 cards of our deck, and we can reveal a song card and put it into our hand. 2 songs available, not looking very happy.
No, not looking very happy.
Maybe not the card that we were hoping to have. Not going to be able to deal. Well, if we take we don't talk about Bruno, we can send one of these Diablos back, but then it is a random card discarded from Bob's hand. And with no Prince John on the board, we do have a Prince John in the hand. We could do it next turn and be able to draw an extra card thanks to Prince John, but is the damage already going to be done by these Diablo devoted heralds? Because at that stage, next turn, if they're both exerted, we're going to draw a card for Bob every time Kawa also draws a card.
Now, I think despite that, I think Kawa might be feeling that even though the Diablos might be exerting, we might have to do that. It might be worth it, so we can get that Prince John down, we can still get some more cards, we can find some different lines to play into this slowly developing Bob situation that we've got there. At the moment, we know what's in hand. We did see Kawa get to see that, but I don't really know what we do from here. I suppose the next kind of things that we can play. Do we have enough in the discard for the Olaf?
Oh, we did take the sudden chill off our Ariel Spectacular Singer, though, and we can do that thanks to our Ursula Deceiver out on the board. She's going to do a little bit of singing. We're going to discard a card, and will we see Kawa do the play that he did first game, ink a card, and then we're going to pay 4 to play You Have Forgotten Me to make Bob discard 2 cards. But right now,
just having a quick glimpse into
I see what happens. Both Diablos challenge that Ursula.
Yes, they did, to get rid of it.
To get rid of it, and we are going to play that Robin Hood Sharpshooter. Starting, will we get to see and pull off something, or does Kawa have a way to deal with this? I'm not sure if we do. I do see an Under the Sea in hand. If we can get enough singers on the board, if we get enough glimmers on the board, we will be able to sing it. Ariel's 5, so no wonder Bob decided to get rid of that Ursula Deceiver, not taking any chances of singing together. But this is one way to get rid of Robin Hood Sharpshooter, and that is we don't talk about Bruno. And in this case, we're not talking about Robin Hood Sharpshooter. We don't want him to pull off his greatest performance ability. So now we get to discard a random card, and it's going to be Lenny Toy Binoculars.
Not Lenny, anyone but Lenny. I like Lenny Toy Binoculars, but you're right, bouncing that Robin Hood Sharpshooter back to the hand, just a good way of preventing it from mobilizing the thing that might really start putting Kawa on the back foot. We are going to see that Prince John come down onto the board, and are we going to start seeing a couple of extra moments here? We're just going to see the Ursula inked. We're going to leave that Prince John there, and then we're going to move back over to Bob, readying up those terrifying Diablos. Now, I think we did just draw into a strike a good match there. Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, but ideally you don't want to do that, because you're going to draw 2 cards, you're going to discard 2 cards, and that would also give Kawa the reason to use Prince John's ability and draw cards for every card that Bob has to discard. So ideally, not what Bob wants to do, but Diablos are evasive. Not going to be able to do much to do that, but he is going to be able to draw a card now that Bob is going to discard a card. But it's okay. not all lost. There is a way we could get rid of these 2 Diablos, but the question is, what's going to join them on the board?
Oh, here it is! We get to see the moment, the return of Hercules, and the Leviathan comes down onto the board. That gorgeous enchanted Leviathan, guardian of Atlantis. And just look at that in the bottom left. Look at that art. I must acquire one for my own. Now, I think because of the effect that this has, obviously, is that you need to have, if you put 2 or more cards into the discard that turn, then you can do the banishing an opposing characters a total of 10 or less. So I don't think those requirements were met there, Kim. So that's why we still see all those on the board.
Yeah, but you see, that no, two cards did, in fact, enter the
it's
discard. However, it says chosen.
You can't do it if it's chosen.
And it has ward, so sadly, we can't target those Prince Johns.
I keep forgetting about the ward.
Return of Hercules lets both players play a card from hand, so also allowed Kawa here to play an additional Prince John onto the board. So 2 Prince Johns on the board, now joined by a Diablo, Maleficent Spy. Let's Kawa have a little look-see into Bob's hand. What are we having a look at? There's another...
Oh, there's another one of Return of Hercules, but there's nothing really to play.
Could we see it happen again, but there's nothing really to use it. We have a Hypnotize, we have a Gaten, Moliere, and I don't know. Oh, it is still the Robin Hood Sharpshooter in the hand.
Gaten Molly are not a good one to play right now into 2 Prince Johns, though, because you're going to be drawing 2 and discarding 2. Not what you really want to be seeing right now, especially if Kawa is able to get into his own Diablo devoted Herald. That's going to definitely be the wrong card. So we're going to see that Hypnotize getting inked. And then, what do we do here, Bob?
No, I don't believe we inked Hypnotize. It went into the discard.
Was that discarded? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I believe we...
I saw it get placed down in the inkwell, yeah.
In the inkwell. I think we did pay 3 and we did use Hypnotize. And now it's going to be really tricky for Kawa to try and get rid of this Leviathan unless we've got the likes of a You're Welcome or maybe another We Don't Talk About Bruno to bounce it back and discard something at random. But it is going to be the Return of Hercules getting inked, and maybe we're going to play a Prince John of our own. We still have 3 ink available, but right now it's looking like we are going to start questing. There's some lore on the board. We're finally starting that race to 20.
This is what it's all about. You can get board dominance, but once you get to a certain point and you're finding ways to replenish your hand, it might not be enough, because the whole point of this is to get to 20 lore, and actually we forget about a lot of that. We are currently 21 minutes or so into this entire match, still in this game too, and at this point it's looking pretty even about what's going on, even though Kawa might have some real advantages with the Prince Johns. We are going to see a quest for 6.
I believe we're singing.
It's under the sea!
Together, under the sea. Now, not a lot we can do to get rid of that 10-strength Guardian of Atlantis Leviathan. However, we were able to get rid of the 2 Diablos, and that is Painting the Roses Red. Going to be able to give minus strength to the Leviathan, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to do anything else. But also did allow Kawa to draw a card as well.
It was mostly for the resources, wasn't it? There's nothing we can do. We can't get over that enormous body on the board. But at this point, that's not really the concern. We've just got to try and keep some options in the hand. Luckily, that's what this Prince John is for. Maybe there'll be some discards. We'll have to see what happens on Bob's next turn. We're going to ready up that huge Leviathan body. Then where do we go from here? There's Sudden Chill.
Yeah, there's 1 card in Kawa's hand. We could definitely just see Bob play down a Prince John here and then just even hard cast. Well, like Leviathan could sing it, who knows? But ideally we want to get a little bit more questing in. More than likely we could just see a gate and come down here as well. Many options, but first off we're going to challenge and get rid of one of those Prince Johns. And we will do the Sudden Chill. We don't even need to play our Prince John. We have enough cards in hand. And our Robin Hood Sharpshooter joining Bob's side of the board with the Leviathan.
And here we go. Back to Kawa. This is quite an intimidating board. We've got rid of one of those Prince Johns. We are seeing another Divine Herald. That's going to come down. Devoted Herald, the Diablo, the one that we've seen played more today than I think we've seen for about 18 months. It is crazy seeing this, but we do see, like you've said before, a Diablo of his own in hand and a Prince John of his own. And I think we did just also see a Firefly Swarm come into the hand, which would be pretty good for banishing any of those. Obviously, you can't banish that Prince John because of ward. I've remembered the ward this time.
So proud.
But you could get rid of that Diablo.
Yeah, but right now we're going to go and have a look at Robin Hood's greatest performance, his ability to look at the top 4 cards, and do we have an action? Oh! There was no action in this magical Christmas land deck. Full of actions. There was no action off of Robin Hood's sharpshooter's ability, but that's okay because more than 2 cards left are when entered our discard, meaning the Firefly Swarm was able to target basically any character, but it also didn't matter because Diablo was also 2 strength or less.
Exactly, so actually it would have been fine either way, but there's another Diablo. Look, you get rid of my Diablo, I'm going to Diablo straight back. So Kawa still has some of that presence on the board to get some draws off discards and draws, although it's currently not exerted. However, Bob is currently on 12 lore. We're going to see a quest for 2 there, taking us up to 14. Oh, no. Yep, and that means we then get to activate this. And no, we did see one.
Strike a good match, meaning we will be able to draw 2 cards and then discard a card.
But that's obviously going to be a little bit of a problem. It is going to give Kawa one extra thing. It looks like we're scooping at this point because there is just too much on the board there, which means we are going to an exciting Game 3 to end our day's coverage on this Round 8 feature match. Always a pleasure to get the excitement. Look, a 2-0 as a decisive win is always nice if you are the player. Sometimes for the viewer, it's exciting to see the back and forth, the differences between playing on the draw. You know, there's so many factors to this that make it exciting. I'm just glad we get to see a Game 3 with 2 of my draft picks. And I guess I have to be both pleased and sad for whoever wins and or loses. What about you?
But it doesn't matter because we're getting a Game 3.
Yay,
and I love talking about this game. And I'm so happy we get to talk about more Disney Lorcana trading card game in a Game 3. I'm not rooting for either player, but I'm so happy we got to see the magical Christmas land of Return of Hercules, Leviathan, because I've not yet gotten to see it in action, and it was so magical.
With the enchanted one as well.
And it
wasn't just anything, it was the most glorious version of that card that we could have seen, and now we might even get to witness it a second time. Who knows? We'll all find out in this final Game 3, and we're very excited to see what happens. You're saying you're not rooting for either player. I'm technically rooting for both.
You are.
That puts us at the 2 ends of the spectrum of support. No support whatsoever, loads of support from this guy. But whomst will win? We'll have to all find out together as we start to head into our Game 3. I'm sure our players are getting nice and shuffled, getting into that altering phase, getting those hands ready. What would you say you're having to look for both players in those opening hands?
Well, ideally, we're going to want to hit our 1-cost anything at this stage. And then hopefully we've seen the power of Ursula Deceiver in the previous games, and we've seen it before. The first game, both Bob and Kawa both played an Ursula Deceiver, discarded Sudden Chill. When you're playing so many songs and action cards, it can do so much. We've seen the power of Lenny and just discarding actions and out of our actions and songs, actions, just beautiful actions, very actiony decks.
Actions, beautiful
Ruby
actions.
Emerald versus Amber Emerald. Both sharing very similar Emerald cards. We're seeing a lot of Diablo Devoted Herald. We're seeing a lot of Prince John. But I am excited nonetheless which Emerald deck is going to come out on top. Both very different, both kind of similar, but nonetheless, very exciting.
And only one can make it to day 2. So let's find out who that's going to be as we get into our 3rd and final game in our Round 8 feature match at the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Dortmund. Bob versus Kawa. Who will take home the win today and make it into our next day? It's very exciting to see what's going to happen here. But that means if whoever gets through, we won't see them again until Sunday, will we? Because that is when our top cut and the final rounds of Swiss both are. Tomorrow is its own round 1 through 8. And all of those will converge on Sunday, which means whoever does take this gets to kick their feet back and just watch for a day. Just relax. Work on your deck tech. Figure out how you're going to do it. Yeah, go side events. Earn some stuff on the prize wall. There's loads to do at a Disney Lorcana Challenge. And guys, if you're watching this at home and you haven't had the chance to get your own ticket, or you're wondering why you didn't jump in and sign up when you have the chance, remember, there's things like CCQs, there's local game store ones, and also there's Disney Lorcana challenges. There's even last chance qualifier tickets available to the European Championship for Disney Lorcana, the second ever one. Could it be you? You watching this stream at home. Maybe you're just on your sofa. Maybe you're sat at your computer. Maybe you're on a train commuting home watching it on Twitch and you're wondering why you didn't sign up. Well, perhaps you could be our next European champion, lifting that trophy live at Disneyland. That's an exciting premise, but we've got to get into this game and see if either of these two will be making their way to Worlds and or Euros by the end of Sunday.
Yeah, it's all very exciting, and we're ready to go. It is the final round here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge Dortmund. Day one, we've got a whole nother day of excitement tomorrow, and both our players have finished altering their hands and we're ready to go. And I do see this for the first time in this round, Kawa does in fact have a one-cost glimmer to play. Will we see him play it? And it's looking like we're inking the ballroom sensation to play a Diablo Maleficent Spy.
A great one off the rip so that you can see exactly what you're dealing with for the first couple of turns. In fact, we can basically see that we're going to get a Diablo Devoted Herald out very, very soon. We also have two Hypnotize and we have that Olaf in hand, and we don't talk about Bruno. So that means we know exactly what we're dealing with. But obviously that new card that comes in the hand, that's going to be a Lenny Toy Binoculars, which we may see coming up soon so we get our own idea. But we don't need it because Diablo Maleficent Spy does a similar job of giving us all that information. So we see a Muses, a Bare Necessities. We see a Ariel, we see the Ursula, and we also see You Have Forgotten Me. Good information on both sides to have. Where will it go from here? Back over to Kawa for his turn.
Yeah, now it's time to find out, will we see the Ursula Deceiver come down? We do know that there were some song cards in Bob's hand. We don't talk about Bruno was inked, but will there be another one that Kawa will be able to discard with Ursula Deceiver? Time to find out. We did get a little glimpse earlier, but we did in fact ink it. But every little bit of information matters. We know exactly what's in Bob's hand. Great play by Bob there to ink that we don't talk about Bruno. We knew that Ursula Deceiver was coming, or we at least suspected it.
We certainly did suspect it, that's true, and obviously that has to operate on songs, I believe. It discards a song card of choice, so we didn't get to see the discard of that Hypnotize just there.
Yeah, and the Liquidator going into the Inkwell, and it's our Shift Devoted Herald coming in, and we will be able to draw a card now. And every time Kawa draws a card, and it's still only getting started. Bob may be on one lure, but he has to get all the way to 20.
Now, we did, I think, see a second Bare Necessities get drawn, which right now could actually be quite useful to maybe get rid of that Hypnotize, if that's even something you want to do, but we know what's available. Right now, we don't have a Prince John, so worrying about the discard and the draw, there's a couple of things you could do here. So he could decide to do that just to try and snipe it out the hand and not have to worry about that for an extra turn. But obviously, we do know what we've got going on here, that Diablo Devoted Herald is going to be a bit of a problem. It looks like we're going for the You Have Forgotten Me, trying to just make... Oh, no, that's just going to get inked. It looked like he did consider playing it for a hot sec, but instead, we go into Ariel, spectacular singer, a singer 5, but we are also going to look at the top few cards. We have taken off a We Don't Talk About Bruno there, so that's going to go into the hand, and are we even going to bother singing it? We can't.
Oh, we can't right now, but we can still do have the option of singing the Bare Necessities, thanks to our 2-cost Ursula Deceiver. Will be able to sing, but is there anything? There is! It's Hypnotize, going to be able to be discarded. It is a non-character card of your choice, meaning Kawa does get to choose, but there's only one available, so Hypnotize, well, it won't be hypnotizing anybody very soon. It's going to be, well, banished right now out of the hand.
Quite right. So we do just see that Ursula Deceiver has been drawn. So is this going to be a bit of a back and forth of sniping out of the hand? We might well see that come down. But what would you do in this situation when you've got the Leviathan in hand? You've also got the Olaf, which at this point, bit hopeless. It would still cost 7 to actually be able to be used. You've got to have way more actions in the discard for that to be working. So instead, we're going to ink it, and we're going to play Lenny Toy Binoculars, which is going to, again, give a bit more of an idea about what's going on. And it's going to discard an action card of your choice. So that means we're going to have to get rid of, if we don't talk about Bruno, or the bare necessities.
Yeah, and ideally now Bob, well, he has a tough decision to make, but more than likely will be that we don't talk about Bruno with no non-character cards in his hand. The bare necessities, well, it's not going to really discard any necessities out of Bob's hand when there's none there, but we could draw it now as during Kawa's turn when we draw a card. But do we take that risk? Are we questing what is going on, Bob? It looks like, yes, we are going to quest. We do want that option to draw every time Kawa draws. And the question is now, are we going to top deck another We Don't Talk About Bruno, or do we have another way to get rid of this Diablo Devoted Herald? And we do have the Muses. We haven't seen it come down in this round at all for these players. Could we see it come down now?
Kawa is not looking too happy. There was a look to the sky on that because I believe drew into the one-cost Cinderella, which I guess he's not wanting to see right now. So not really feeling too great about what he's seeing. Cinderella, ballroom sensation, it's fine early, but we're just going to ink it instead and get the Muses down, just like you said, Kim. And we want to start seeing more of the Muses.
Yeah, and then we do have one song available to us to sing, and then we can start doing some, my favorite thing, the gospel truth, a little bit of bouncing shenanigans, because whenever we play a song, you may return chosen character with 2 cost or 2 strength or less to their player's hand, meaning, well, we don't really want to bounce a Lenny because Lenny can be replayed and then, well, discard an action card of Bob's choice, but we could definitely just start bouncing this Diablo back. It's not going to do much harm, but another really fun thing that is also possible, we can bounce one of our own characters back to hand. So we could very well see this Aerial Spectacular Singer be bounced back. We could replay it next turn and maybe draw another or any other useful song card which may help us win this game.
It was a nasty place. You're right. The Muses have definitely got a little bit of versatility there. We're going to see it sung with Ursula, but unfortunately, I don't think there's really much that we can do here because it is discarding a non-character card of your choice. So what this actually does, rather than getting the effect off, what it ends up doing is just giving Kawa that little bit more information. We see that Liquidator, we see the Diablo, we see the Guardian of Atlantis, the Leviathan in hand without the Return of Hercules. So currently that's not looking like too much of a threat. And we also see the Ursula. And at this point with Kawa with no cards in hand, that card is virtually useless. So there's no worries there. But there's just thinking it through. He's staring it all through and he is going to bounce back the Diablo, which is just going to add 2 more cards to hand.
Yeah, as it was shifted, we could see Bob now ink maybe the smaller Maleficent Spies, 1-cost Diablo, or maybe, well, we have an action in hand. We could just replay them and shift them again. Well, why not just flood the board? There's so many more cards in his hand, but just a clunky Leviathan, uninkable, sitting there as well. Without Return of the Hercules right now, we're only on 3 ink. Not much use to us. We're going to play Diablo Maleficent Spies, but no cards in Kawa's hand. It's not looking great.
It's not looking great. Kawa not looking fantastic, rubbing the temples there. There's a lot of interesting body language going on because Bob is having to think a couple of moves ahead. We're going to see that Liquidator, Iced Over come down. This obviously has Reckless, which is always nice. A 4-2 stat line, which is good if you just want to quickly challenge into something, get rid of it. Obviously, right now, the Muses is probably the biggest trouble that we've got on the board. But at the moment, we're currently not questing with that. It's not exerted, so it's currently not vulnerable. But we are going to see that Prince John. So if we do start getting some discards off, this is going to be great. Now, if only that was here a turn earlier for that bare necessities, that might have been really lucrative.
Yeah, it could have been. And if only Bob had some actions in his hand, we could have gotten rid of. But right now, he does have actions, and it's going to be discarded. And it's going to be Sudden Chill being discarded thanks to our Diablo shift. And will we see a quest, or maybe we have something else we can play? I do see a Firefly Swarm. We won't be able to target Prince John or the Muses, however. Well, we could just do that either. I didn't even know he had another Diablo. Let's get 2 Devoted Heralds on the board. Why not?
Why not, indeed? So we are just going to see that questing, and now that's going to set Bob up for Kawa's next turn, immediately getting 1 new card in hand. Obviously, the reason for discarding the Sudden Chill, it's utterly pointless in Bob's hand right now because Kawa doesn't have any cards to discard. It's not worth it. So right now, we're going to move back over to Kawa's turn. He's going a little bit of a about this. He's not feeling good.
Very happy. Could it be the card that's going to...
Oh, he's shaking the head.
Into something else. He's not looking very happy. I told him he need to work on his poker face, but, well, it's telling us a lot of information, but also telling Bob a lot of information. Bob's got to be feeling pretty happy when your opponent only has one card and you have, well, a three. 3 cards is really nice, but we're looking like we are going to be able to play it. What is it going to be? Oh, this is a good card. However, it's kind of not a great card when you don't have any cards in your hand. It is our 7-cost tramp, Street Smart Dog. We do have the option to draw 5 cards, but we would have to discard them. Not really what we want to be doing, opting not to do that.
It's best not to with Diablo on the board.
Are we going to quest what this Liquidator has? Reckless will be able to just challenge in.
Do you know, we're going to play it safe. Kawa's got this really dominant board right now that over the course of a couple of turns could quite easily quest for quite a lot. We've currently got 8 on the board there for each quest. That's not half bad. Even one quest with all of them would get you halfway there, but then obviously everything's vulnerable. Kawa needs to see an under the sea or something to really clear that board of Bob's and make this hard. But we are instead going to see that Brawl come down and get rid of Tramp Street Smart Dog. That's going to just remove it down to only 6 lore on the board for Kawa for questing. We're going to ink a Sudden Chill. And then where do we go from here?
Yeah,
He's going to just quest.
Bob
Quest.
Taking back control of this board. Brawl coming in. We were able to get rid of that Tramp Street Smart Dog. Didn't choose Ariel. Ariel's still on the board. If we top deck something, we can sing it, but not wanting anything to be sung and definitely not wanting that Tramp Street Smart Dog to be bounced back to Kawa's hand with the Muses. What did he top deck? Not looking very happy, but Bob going to be able to draw 2 cards there. Thanks to Kawa drawing 1 card because 2 Diablos are exerted on the board.
You can see Kawa really having to think through these moments because there's a lot of things you can do. It's whether you should or shouldn't. We're going to instead sing Under the Sea! And there it is. We get rid of both of those Diablos. That's already great. The toy binoculars. Lenny is also gone. We are going to keep Liquidator there. It's still a little bit threatening, actually, the fact that it's got 4 strength. But that's okay. We are going to see that Ariel come back down and we're going to draw in. And we do see a We Don't Talk About Bruno that's going to come to the hand. And the rest are going to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, thanks to the Muses' ability to be able to bounce a 2-strength character or less back to the hand. Choosing the Aerial Spectacular Singer, meaning the Liquidator cannot challenge into it, but also we still had ink available to be able to replay it. Now the Liquidator will be able to challenge into the Ursula Deceiver or the Diablo Maleficent Spy, but that's okay because we got rid of those Diablos.
We did, and that was a big move because then from now on, that turn-by-turn draw power is just no longer a thing, and we're not seeing any other copies of that coming to hand, which is always lovely. So let's see where we go from here. What will we be inking? What will we be playing? We have yet another copy of Hypnotize. He's seen every copy of Hypnotize so far. Right now, not the kind of thing you want, unless you want to get that draw off. But it's not worth it at this point. Although, you could get that discarded. The only card that he's currently got available might not be too bad. But instead, we're going to play that Firefly Swarm and get rid of that Ariel, because that Spectacular Singer is a problem. The fact that it sings for 5 makes it very easy. And there we go. Like I said, that Hypnotize has come down, discarding the only song we had left, basically denying Kawa a singer and denying Kawa any songs at all. Quite a strong move there from Bob.
Yeah, very nice play there from Bob indeed, being able to not only get rid of that Spectacular Singer and also being able to discard the We Don't Talk About Bruno, depending on what Kawa top decks next. If it's an inkable card, even without Ariel, we would have still been able to hard cast it, meaning just pay the 5 ink. Sadly, won't be able to do that now, but still, our Muses and Prince John have Ward aren't able to be targeted by Firefly Swarm or Brawl or any abilities, but what are we top decking now? No Diablos on Bob's side of the board exerted, meaning he's not going to be able to draw any cards, just a Liquidator left. Now, we could choose to challenge here with the Diablo Maleficent Spy.
Not a bad use of it, yeah.
definitely good. And then if we choose to quest with our Prince John or our Muses, they won't really be a threat.
Yeah, they're safe for another round because obviously the ink has to dry for Bob unless he's got something with Rush or anything, which I don't know if he really does. So maybe we don't have to worry about that. Maybe at this point, it's just worth doing exactly what you've said. We're going to quest with the Muses, or are we using this to sing?
Are we singing? Great question. And we
Sudden
are.
chill. That's going to be great to give Kawa an extra draw there of whatever gets discarded here. That's a very, very nice move. So he's going to choose to discard that Leviathan. It's currently doing nothing in that hand. We haven't seen the return of Hercules action come into the hand yet. That was a good choice. And like you said, Kim, we are going to see that Diablo clear that last threat off the board. And then, are we going to bother questing with that Prince John? We've still got 4 ink available because everything's been sung. And Kawa's still trying to think about whether he's going to do this. He's going to take a quick look at the discard, see what's in there. He's probably wondering if Olaf is going to come down on the next turn. And by the looks of it, it might be able to. There's quite a lot of things in there. There's 3 copies of Hypnotize. There's at least a couple of Firefly Swarms. We might be seeing it this turn.
Yeah, and not only that, Ed, but Bob is on 6 ink, has the ability to ink here up to 7. I don't know if we're going to even need to ink because Robin Hood Sharpshooter, well, he only costs 4. Do we have an Olaf snowman of action to go alongside that?
I don't think so. I don't think I saw it on the draw, but that's obviously what Kawa might be trying to protect against. Having seen it get inked in some of the previous games, that's something you've got to keep in mind. Now, we do just see there, that was a painting of Rose's red getting drawn, so chosen character gets -1 strength this turn, draw a card. Not a bad thing to use on Robin Hood, I suppose, and then we're going to quickly do a sing with that, exactly what I've just said there. That is going to draw a card as well for Kawa, which is always useful. And we do see a Devoted Herald in hand. Not a bad thing to get out onto the board, and that's what we're likely to see here. There it is, Diablo, Devoted Herald, going to stay there. Can't do anything right now, but what we can do is quest for 2 and start pushing us towards that 20 lore amount. This game is ramping up, Kim.
Yeah, it's only 5 lore to 4. It's all not over. But the Muse's ability to be able to bounce a 2 strength or less character back to hand. Bob can't choose now to just replay the Robin Hood Sharpshooter, but not only 1 Robin Hood Sharpshooter, we're going to have 2, but will they get to perform their greatest performance? We'll find out unless Kawa has a way to deal with them.
We could get rid of 1 with World's Greatest Criminal Mind just drawn into hand. Banish those character 5. Oh, no, that's 5 or more.
Can't.
Oh, I keep thinking it's 5 or under.
Can't.
That's not enough.
Robin Hood only has 1 strength. There is a Cricky in hand, but that is only going to give us an extra 3 strength, I believe.
It's not enough. I was mistaken. Oh, we've got to look at what's available. That Lucky Cricket there. When you play this character, other characters get +3. It's not going to be enough, though. Even that wouldn't help.
No, if they were exerted, though, we would have easily been able to challenge in and get rid of them that way. But at least we have our own Diablo of Devoted Herald at long last on the board. So we will be able to draw a card now. And Bob draws a card. But the worry is, both of these Robin Hood Sharpshooters do have the ability now to quest. We do have the chance of him pulling off my greatest performance and playing a action card which costs 6 or less for free.
Let's see what happens, because that's definitely what's about to happen on Bob's next turn. Kawa having to just think through what to do in these final few seconds of this game. We still do have 14 minutes left on that clock, but somebody has to get to 20 or that's going to a draw. And I don't know what that's going to do for their day 2 appearance.
No, you need exactly 18 points to make it into day 2. So both of these players, a lot on the line. It's not over yet. It's 5 lore each. And we are just going to hardcast World's Greatest Criminal Mind. We're not going to be able to banish anything. However, thanks to our Muses, we will be able to bounce that Robin Hood Sharpshooter back to Bob's hand. So it's okay. One may be able to pull off my greatest performance, his ability, but at least we won't have 2.
That's true. That's 1 fewer thing to have to worry about, because imagine getting 2 of those cost 6 or less for free. That's a really brutal one. Look, at this point, it's worth risking it. questing with that Prince John, getting a couple more lore ahead. We do still have that Diablo, so there was a card drawn there for Kawa. And here we go. The Robin Hood Sharpshooter is going to quest. What do we see? We actually see a Leviathan. Oh, there's the return of Hercules, but we've got rid of the Leviathan, so it's not going to be worth it.
No, but do we have any cards in our hand we're going to be able to play with it? I'm not sure if we do. We do have a Robin Hood Sharpshooter that was bounced back. We can replay it for free. Did we? I think we paid. I don't think we were
did
able
pay.
to.
It's not worth giving your opponent one if it's not going to be anything good. So we do see it get inked instead. Look, that's still resources. We are going to see an Ursula come to the hand, which actually not going to do anything particularly useful at the moment because I think there's only... Does he have cards in hand or has he got rid of all of them?
He did have a Return of Hercules in the hand that went into the inkwell there.
Now he's empty.
And I don't believe there is any cards left in his hand unless I am missing it. I have no idea, but it's exciting nonetheless. Ursula Deceiver going into the inkwell. Lucky Cricket coming in. We can give an extra 3 strength to something, meaning any one of these glimmers on the board can challenge and get rid of the exerted Robin Hood Sharpshooter. But which glimmer is it going to be?
What would you do here? Because I think you have to probably keep the Prince John around, knowing that your opponent's going to try and use the Robin Hood Sharpshooter ability, but also keeping Diablo is quite useful. Would you do that? I think we're going to have to risk the Diablo at this point because you've got to keep the Muses because those songs are too useful to bounce things back. The Diablo's just getting you a card draw. There's other ways to get a card draw while you've still got that Prince John. It isn't going to be the end of the world because it only has 1 strength anyway. And also, no evasives. Then we are going to see the same move happen there, trying to banish it, using that Muses to bounce that Robin Hood Sharpshooter back. We're not going to be seeing the greatest performance happen again this turn, Kim.
No, thanks to the bare necessities with no cards being in Bob's hand, we were just able to play it. We had a look at Bob's hand, but Bob's hand was empty. But we were able to bounce that Robin Hood Sharpshooter back. And here is a spectacular singer coming in. We're going to have a look at the top 4 cards of Kawa's deck. Does he have a song? There was quite a few choices there, but it is going to be Painting the Roses Red, Gaten Moliere, Evasive, 4 cost inkable 2/5, and whenever he quests, you may draw 2 cards and then choose and discard 2 cards. Not something Bob is going to want to do. It is a May ability, so doesn't have to do it with Prince John around on Kawa's side of the board. Doesn't want to give him any more cards to fuel his hand, but still, there's still songs available. We've still singers available to sing them. Painting the Roses Red only costs 2. We'll be able to sing it and bounce something back to Bob's hand. We did it I do believe we hard casted it, bounced the Robin Hood Sharpshooter back to Bob's hand. Kawa recognizes the danger of his greatest performance, Bob's Robin Hood Sharpshooter, to be able to do something bouncing that back.
Look, we've even gone for the risky Prince John quest because at this point, it's worth it. We're only 3 away, so Game is currently on board. Unless Bob can do something quite drastic here, Kawa is going to be taking this. Bob having to take every moment he can. What are we going to do with this? It is evasive, so it can challenge that Diablo and get rid of that. But right now, we are going to see the strike a good match, drawing 2 cards, and then choosing and discarding a card.
Yeah, but you choose and discard a card, and you also give Kawa the ability to discard or draw a card off Prince John. Will we also see him try to quest with Gaten? Are we trying to find the tools that we need? Do we have another Leviathan?
This is it from Bob, I think. I'm seeing Bob shake his head. It doesn't look like you can clear that board. You can get rid of the Diablo, but that's likely to be it. Yeah, there it is!
Only
the
3 more lore needed.
Kawa takes our round 8 feature match and makes it to day 2 of this amazing Disney Lorcana Championship. One of my draft picks has made it to day 2. One of them has just lost in that final round.